and welcome to the Crypto Soundbytes. Again, it's me, the assistant trader James, because we're being the co-host for the night, Mr. Sly-Fi. Hi, Sly.
Yo, what's up? What's up?
All good, man. So we're doing a very, very short soundbite for this week. For this week's content, we'll be talking about something that actually Sly is very, very interested because I watched this movie. I remember this movie. I'm not sure it was the young ones will still remember because they're still young. There's this movie that they say everybody talks about the cloud, but nobody knows what it is. So yeah, it's an English movie, a foreign movie from the US. Yeah, I bet you know that one, Sai. What I'm talking about?
I think there's several movie references that can kind of like relate, I guess, but I don't know which one specifically. But I know.
Well, that's one of the Cameron Diaz.
Oh, Cameron Diaz. Oh,
Cameron.
shoot.
Anyway,
We'll figure it
let's
out.
talk. Tonight we'll be talking about cloud. And Sly has a very, very interesting topic to share to our viewers, to our listeners for tonight's soundbite. So, Sly, what do you think about cloud and blockchain?
Okay, I have a lot of things to say about cloud and blockchain. So let's just kind of define what is cloud first. Basically, when we talk about cloud technologies, as of today, basically are technologies that exist on the internet. Unlike years ago, a lot of companies would set up physical servers to host, let's say, their web applications and other business-related, systems or infrastructure. But that required a lot of manpower, specialized personnel to set up an infrastructure like that. But now what cloud does is that it removes the manpower, the time basically to set it up. And basically from a click of a mouse, you can set up basically whatever you need, whether it be like, let's say, a particular server that handles this, or if you need services that handle this. It's basically done within the click of a mouse. So it's instantaneous. Okay. So that's what cloud is as of today. When we talk about blockchain is almost a similar concept because blockchain is already set
Hold
up.
your horses in. I just wanted to ask this question for our audience.
Sure.
Since we're talking about cloud. So cloud basically is internet. So what's the difference?
Ah,
I probably understand or know what cloud is. But of course, for the benefit of those who are new to the show, yung mga bago, no, just tuning to us, or those who are not that technically, you need to explain to them cloud. Because believe it or not, some people, well, especially with Philippines, I
right.
still don't understand what cloud is.
Cloud is just a very basic and general term that anything that you want, let's say if you go on your mobile app, you go into Chrome browser and basically you type in something, that information is fetched from the cloud. But in terms of what is the cloud is basically like millions, probably billions of computers working in the backend that you don't see, that is basically situated around the world. Now, again, like I said, it could be any type of service that you want, but let's just use Google as an example. So whenever you try to type in something to search for something, what you're basically doing is you're asking a whole bunch of machines to give you basically, hey, the answer. Okay, so what is
data, content,
basically, yes.
It's like a hard drive.
Pretty much. It's a hard drive.
Right. So now basically people might understand when you say it's hard drive, but it's not a physical hard drive in the computer, but rather it's already been over the cloud. So cloud basically is a storage, right?
Correct.
Right. So now let's go back to your premise about cloud and blockchain.
Okay, so now the idea here is data. Okay, data can be described as, let's say, music, whatever, documents, PDF, who cares? It's data.
Video.
Yeah, data, right? That is cloud. Now, when we look at blockchain, it's the same concept. It's basically data, okay? However, in blockchain, yes, it is still data, but it's in the form of, it's in the form of something that the blockchain calls differently, but it's still data in the end, okay? So when we talk about cloud, you're fetching and getting data. When we talk about blockchain, you're fetching and getting data. What about inputting data into the cloud? Yes, it's the same concept. The infrastructure could be a little bit different, but the concept still remains the same. You can put data onto the cloud. You can put data into the blockchain, okay? You can fetch data from the cloud. You can fetch data from the blockchain. So in essence, blockchain and cloud, through this example alone, basically states that, when we talk about cloud technologies, blockchain is basically a cloud technology because it's preset up. It's what you do with it. That is the question, okay? So cloud technologies and blockchain technology. Now, they're basically one-click applications, especially if you try to set something up. Now, let's move a little bit further. Let's talk about services, okay? Now, let's just use AWS as an example. And you can choose any cloud services out there. There's a lot, even China Mobile. I think a few other smaller services offer the exact same thing. But the idea is, when we talk about cloud technologies, they handle services, okay? Keyword is services. Okay, now, when we look at blockchain, what is the service being provided? The service being provided basically is an endpoint, okay? Now, within that endpoint, blockchain can offer different types of services as well. So we have services on the cloud technology side, and then we have blockchain that offers services as well. But what particular services? We start to see as we look on the layers, yeah, that blockchain really mimics in a way cloud technologies because of what they offer. Okay. Now, going back to blockchain, they offer services. Now, not all services are the same on blockchain because usually it's consensus algorithms. What do I mean by that? Well, you probably heard the concept of proof of work. Okay, that is a consensus algorithm. Okay.
Well, for those who are new, maybe they don't know what proof of work, but the basic, maybe just to explain a little more about consensus mechanism, this is the way that we get to decide if the data is valid or not.
Correct. Again,
votation.
Data validation. Okay.
So votation, they will vote out. For example, the validators, all of the validators around the world, they will ask each other, solve math problem.
Right.
And when they solve it, they say yes or no.
Now, using what you just said, validating the data, what is the most common or similar technology to that in terms of what cloud services does? Especially those of you who are in the IT industry kind of know this through the networking layer. Usually it's called TCP/IP, okay? Versus UDP protocols, it's basically TCP/IP. Now, what I'm trying to say here is data validation. Whenever we pass information from one point to another, yes, the data must be valid, but there are similarities in what blockchain does to validate the data, and there are similar ways that web technologies use or utilize to validate the data as well. Because why? If the data is corrupted, okay, whether it be in blockchain or whether it be in web technologies, okay, in that data must always be valid at all times, because if it's not, it becomes corrupted. Now, how does, let's say these both web, so it's cloud technologies, and how does blockchain protect the data? Okay. So again, we're looking at a lot of similarities here, especially when we talk about cloud technologies being very similar to blockchain. When we look at blockchain, now there's several concepts here in mind. Most blockchains, the well-known ones, of course, all right, they already offer this idea of, or it's innate in their blockchain of the principle of immutability of data validation. Right. Now, what does cloud technology do? What is their similar technology for data validation? Okay, so data validation for cloud technologies, there's a lot of services for this, but usually it's the case of, okay, last known information. Okay, if let's say you and a team of 5 people work on something, each one is composed of doing different tasks, but in the end, you'll have to put all that information together into a final form. It's the same concept, especially if you work with GitHub branches and things like that. But that is a very simple example. So in terms of data validation, there are many things that cloud services do to, number one, ensure that the data is correct, and number two, the data basically is intact and not corrupted. So that's why you have the data backups. The point being is that blockchain innately has it built into the blockchain so that data is not changed. That is data immutability. Cloud services, same concept, but they just use a different type of technique or methodology. So data is still protected in a way. Yeah. Now, again, let's kind of bring it back to a level that people start to see when we talk about, a lot of technologies or a lot of businesses now are pushing for cloud technology, and I see why. And it really comes down to performance. It really comes down to performance, especially.
Agree. And scalability, man, because if you buy expensive devices to store your data, and then you don't need it anymore,
Right.
You cannot sell it at the same price.
Right, exactly. So you kind of like lost value. Now, when we talk about cloud technology and the blockchain, the one key example or a common similarity is the fact that you're not trashing anything. Okay, let's take a look at this. Let's look at a lot of the things that you deal with cloud technologies and blockchain. It's really code, and people can even go as far as saying, oh yeah, what about the configuration files? It's still code in the end. But once you're done with that, of course, as time goes, you're going to have several changes or iterations. So you may not need, let's say in blockchain, the smart contract, or maybe the front end for it. Same thing goes with cloud. You can make several iterations. You can do several upgrades, especially for blockchain. You have smart contract upgrades. Maybe the previous smart contracts are too old. They might have security issues. Same thing with cloud technologies. When it comes to code, you don't want to be too outdated or there's going to be security vulnerabilities. So there's ways to update, scale, and basically secure your systems. Yeah. So cloud technologies, in essence, and blockchain technologies, the similarity is they're one and the same, just different ways of doing things, but they are both cloud technologies. Okay. They save time because cloud technologies, one click, I can set up an instance or a virtual computer within a few minutes. If years ago, I would have to install the software, install the drivers, and that would take hours, okay? Then of course, there's other methodologies to make it faster, but it still takes time. The idea is performance, because time and performance go hand in hand. Blockchain, same thing. There are services in blockchain, okay, here's a good example. Morales. I use a lot of Morales now in terms of blockchain. If I want to spin up a Ethereum node, a Solana node, one click, it's up. I can basically shoot all my API queries and requests over that thing and it works. I get my information back. Cloud technology, same thing, same concept. It utilizes APIs. You can set up your server instances with one click. So we're starting to see a lot of these services emerge, okay? And by the way, Morales is just one example. There's several examples now, unlike years ago when maybe there was like one or two companies, but there's several examples of how people can spin up, create applications, or in this case, dApps, especially if you're working in blockchain, and you can work in a more time-efficient manner and provide the performance that you need at scale. Yeah. So.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Thank you very much, Sly, for that very insightful sharing that we have about blockchain, about cloud. I hope our listeners, our viewers right now, were able to learn something from what we just shared. But yeah, it's basically an arising technology. Both, I can say that both cloud and blockchain, their roots are trying to address the problem of storage, governance, production. So basically, ito yung mga gustong i-address ng blockchain and cloud. A lot of things there very parallel. So yeah, thank you very much, Ty, for that wonderful sharing that you have for this soundbite. And with that, would like to say we will be seeing again our listeners, our watchers next time. Goodbye.